All right, what is going on today, chat? Happy Wednesday and happy grade review day. Episode 17, guys. I can't even believe we're already... I feel like I say that every single time, but it's crazy that we're already at 17. Cookie the Cat, how's it going? Wicked, how's it going? Welcome. Glad to see you guys. But yeah, episode 17. This one is this one's pretty chock full, I'm not gonna lie. We got a pretty beefy lineup today, and we actually, and I'll talk about it a little bit more. Roar at the Door, thanks so much for the hearts. Appreciate you as always. We actually have our first subscriber grade review submission. So I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I'm just gonna get right into it. So for those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Galaxia Gaming, and every Wednesday we do what's called grade review, where we review the community's cards for free from our Discord, and we just give our general assessment on what we think it would get as a PSA grade. You'll get both my grade as well as the average chat grade, just to kind of give you an idea. It's a completely free service. However, for the subscribers, it's expedited because it's essentially a first come, first serve basis if you're a non-subscriber. But yeah, it's something that we really love to do, and we're just going to get right into it. So again, we are looking at Bjorn222 submission, one of our first subscribers. So let's get right into it. So the big lizard boy himself. So, and as always, we like to address the four main grading criteria, which is centering, corners, edges, and surface. So right off the bat, you can kind of see on the surface here, we have a little bit of a scratch on that top of that Charizard. So that's going to impact the surface score a little bit, but we're going to keep on keeping on. We also have one there on the top right as well. Centering, however, looks pretty good from what I can tell. The only thing that, I don't know if it's the angle or from the actual card, the bottom does appear to be a little bit thicker than the top. So it might be slightly off-centered compared from the bottom to the top, but the left and the right look pretty good. Still have some more stuff here. This actually looks like a piece of debris which can be cleaned off with a Q-tip into some distilled water. If this is your first time here, I advocate cleaning with Q-tips and water, but I don't use card wax or advocate the use of card wax if you're submitting for grading or trying to sell cards at a better condition if you've improved them that way. But this, I feel like you can kind of get rid of with a Q-tip and some distilled water pretty easily. So the text, we do have this, either might be a piece of dirt or grime, but to me, it looks like an ink stain right below the B and can't be used. I don't know if you guys can see that. Bobbert, thanks so much for following the live. I appreciate you. So you kind of see that. Unfortunately, you can't get rid of that if it's an ink stain, but... So looking at the rest of the Zard, really the only thing that stands out major, Sheila, thanks so much for the follow, is on this left side by the flames. So you see a lot of scratching kind of going vertically up the card. So that is going to take some surface score away, but as always, we always have to flip it over as well. So let's take a look. The centering actually on the back looks a little bit better than the front did. Swag, thanks so much for the follow. But as we look on the corners, looks a little whitened, as well as that top. But sometimes with these pictures, and I've seen it on a few, sometimes if the card is taken at a slight angle, Danger, thanks so much for liking the live, appreciate it. Is that sometimes the center cardstock almost appears as though it's frayed. So sometimes that is a picture illusion that I've seen on certain cards. So we'll have to keep that in mind as well. But this left side looks pretty good. We do have some frayed edges on the bottom left, however, on the back, as well as some white dots towards the bottom, which is again going to take that edge score down a few pegs. So we have to always consider that. And then looking a little bit closer at the Pokeball in the back with this magnifying glass, we do see some slight surface scratches on the back of this card. So again, that's going to have some degree of an impact on the surface score. Lost Poke, thanks so much for liking the live. So now, chat, this is where you guys come in. So we have looked at the front of this Zard. and we've also looked at the back. So I am going to launch a poll that should be now active on your device. And if you want to weigh in on what you think this Charizard would get, the poll should be in the top left-hand corner of your device. And this is how you as chat can weigh in on what you think this Charizard would get. So while you guys are doing that, I'm going to just catch up with chat real quick. Wicked saying is a 7 because he's a mod and can't vote. Your new YouTube seller POV. Oh, that's awesome, Lost. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, it was super fun. It was super fun to make. And I thought for like a Comic-Con, I thought it did a pretty good job at kind of covering a lot of different conditions. I thought it was really cool that I was able to sell a kid his first ever Pokemon PSA slab. Was really cool. Roast Malone, thanks so much for the follow. Z, I appreciate the kind words. Thanks so much. All right, I'm going to wrap up the poll here in about 30 seconds or so. So if you want to vote on what you think it's going to be, the poll should be in the top left-hand corner of your device. So there is the front of the Zard, and there is the back. Z, thanks so much for the follow. Appreciate it. But yeah, it was a super fun video to make. An absolute blast. And I have another card show this Saturday. Looking forward to that as well. Okay, so the majority, so it was actually pretty close. We had 4 votes for 9. We had 5 votes for 8, and then we had 6 votes for 7 or 6, because there were some that can't vote because they're mods, say 7 and 6. So we are going to say chat grade, on average, is 7 to 6. Cookie and user hold that thought. I'm just gonna do my review real quick. But those are both good questions to answer. Okay, so what do I think this Charizard from base set would get? So the main things that I saw from the surface on the front was the 2 scratches on the top and the top right edge. The centering is slightly off from what I can tell from the bottom to the top, but the rest of it is pretty good. There's also some dirt that probably can be cleaned. Text looks good, with the exception of a possible ink stain right underneath the B. And there is some noticeable, but not too bad, all things considered, some scratching in the bottom left-hand corner of the card. So as we flip it over, we see some mild whitening essentially on all 4 edges of this card, more noticeably on the bottom. We also see some frayed edges on that left side and that right side as well. So the other things that we have to look for in terms of surface, we do see some slight surface scratching on the back. So the question is, would this be considered a PSA 7 or a PSA 6? Because I also agree, we're kind of in that ballpark. But I would say just because these scratches, this one here, here, and possibly here, but that might just be a dirt stain, as well as some centering issues and some frayed edges on the back, I would probably say that this would get a 6, in my opinion. So yeah, for those of you who are first timers, that's how this kind of goes. And then we just kind of keep on keeping on. So let me just catch up with chat here as I kind of clear for the next one. We do this for about 3 hours, so we're in it for the long haul, chat. How do you feel about cracking slabs and regrading? I mean, to each their own. You know, there are instances where, you know, if you feel like you didn't get the grade you deserve, obviously it happens because PSA does offer it as a service. But yeah, I mean, I have no problem with it. We just started Fly. Like, that was literally the first card. I just started going to events with my buddy. It's fun. That's awesome. Yeah, events are really nice, and you actually get some really good deals if you go to an event. I say that to a lot of people. You can haggle, you can have a lot more buying power with cash. I highly recommend going to events. Lost, I would like to stream the event. However, one big thing is the more people you have in a very confined area, the higher risk it is where your signal's not going to be as good. So although I'd really like to, I'm just really fearful that the signal is going to kind of crap out on me, and it's just going to make the stream just not enjoyable. And then I have to worry about trying to make the stream connect more so than trying to engage with my customers. So recording is a little easier because I can just kind of set and forget, unfortunately. All right, next up. I think this is Chinese. I believe it's Chinese. Chinese Lycia. So, oh, Poke, hey, how's it going? And thanks for sharing the live. I appreciate you. And for those of you who have liked and shared and followed that I haven't shouted out, I appreciate that as well. It always means a lot to see that support. So let's see. So this is a somewhat modern. So this one might be a little bit faster than the Charizard, but we'll kind of give it a go. So one thing that I like to do is for modern, we want to try to focus more so on the centering because it's under the assumption that the card is taken well care of. So that left side, so I'm literally putting a ruler on screen. So the left side is a 1/4 inch and the right side is slightly less than a 1/4 inch. So per my ruler, it's slightly thicker on the left than it is on the right. That's all good, Sean. I kind of thought that that's what you were saying. Definitely has the Chinese-Japanese texture. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I've honestly never seen this texture. And then on the top, it's about almost like an 1/8 of an inch. It's very close to being an 1/8. And then a little bit thicker on the bottom, but again, just based off of the angle that the picture is being taken at, we kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. But so far, it looks slightly off center. And this one, it almost looks like that right side is off center. Let's see. So if I take the ruler, so it's over a 1/4 inch on the right side and just shy of a 1/4 inch on the left. So I would say, so for modern, my rule of thumb is if, you know, you're really, most people are really trying to get 10s for modern. And I think this Lycia is no exception. I would probably say that this would not get the 10 just from the centering issues. So that's just kind of my 2 cents. Maybe a 9 unless they view this or the measurements as more aggressive than I can measure. But I do not believe that this Lycia would get the 10. So next up we have a Japanese Sylveon VMAX. User, thanks so much for liking the live. I started hitting flea markets with my buddy and I've seen some crazy cards there. Yeah, definitely. And flea markets are funny because they're almost like notorious for having fakes, which I think is really funny. Fly Away, and I've missed the other one. So I appreciate all the likes, guys. I really do. Again, it always helps me determine if you guys like this stuff. So, and especially for the people, the repeat followers, it always means a lot that you guys like to see this every week. So I appreciate it. At least before Sword and Shield, Chinese, Thai, and Japanese all had the same texture. Gotcha. That's interesting. One vendor had ETBs for 15. Man, that's either the back of the truck discount or fake discount. Depending on what ETBs they are, I guess. But, okay, so again, we're basically doing the same thing that we did for the Lycia for the Sylveon. So the right side is just at 1/4 inch, and the left side is slightly under a 1/4 inch. So far, the right side is thicker than the left. So let's take a look. Ooh, yeah, and that left side too. I don't know if you guys can see it, but that left side is much thicker than the right. So yeah, I don't think this would get the 10. And user, thanks so much for following the live. I appreciate it. This is my first time here. You have a dope stream, and I'll def come back. Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a fun little thing that I like to offer to the community for like totally free. I'm not trying to sell anyone anything. The only thing that I have now is just if someone wants to have their cards graded a little bit faster, the subscription model, which I'll kind of talk about at the end of this submission, gives people that ability. And it also funds, hopefully, some multi-stream in the future, but... Oh, hey, Block, how's it going? I haven't seen you in a while, man. Hope all is well. It's nice to see you again. Top edge is a little cheese grated, just a bad cut on that Sylveon. Gotcha. Rabbit, thanks so much for liking the live. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's nice to see you, Block. It's been a hot minute, I feel. And Ooze, welcome. Getting everyone in here. Hey, Rabbit, how's it going? I think you showed up in last stream. Doing good, Ooze. Doing great. Doing good. I ended up getting the haircut. Don't tell my barber. Poke, thanks so much for the tiny dinies as always. Hello from Malaysia. That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I don't think I'll go back though, because I had to tell them, like, I feel like they're kind of doing a lot of it under the books, like under the table rather. So I was like, did it turn out how I wanted? Pretty close. Like I think the front was definitely cut a little bit shorter. To be honest, I kind of look like I just joined the military a little bit. Like, not like a total buzz cut, but very close. But it's all right. It's not too bad. I just wish the front was left a little bit longer, and I tried to articulate it. But since I've been going to the same barber for literally years, like I kind of, it's hard for me to really like explain what I wanted. But I really needed a haircut for the, like, I just was so over my long hair. But it is what it is. All right. So Pichu. So far, the bottom looks very bottom heavy compared to the top. And the right looks slightly thicker. But other than that, with the exception of this scratch that I see near the ear, the card is relatively clean. It's just kind of suffering from some centering issues more than anything, and then there's just slight scratch on the front. And then on the back actually looks pretty decent. Centering on the back is pretty good, and I don't see any frayed edges or corners. So, yeah, I'm curious what you guys think. I'm curious. So let me start a new poll. So new poll should be active if you want to vote on what you think. On what this card would get graded. This Japanese Pichu from Neo Genesis. And while you guys are voting, I'll kind of let it run for a minute or two, and I'm just going to catch up with chat. All is well, but busy at our farm business. Some more focus there, but good to see you. Yeah, likewise, Block. Anyone got any gold stars? My buddy said those are the holy grails. I would say so. Yeah, I think gold star, like old school gold stars, are very sought after. We've reviewed a few actually. I think we've reviewed a Mewtwo gold star, the Registeel, Regirock, Regice gold stars. I'm trying to think. Whoever's been here before, have we looked at any others, chat? I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. Should be one later on tonight. Oh, gotcha. Did we review a Vaporeon Gold Star? I remember the Charizard. Oh, I remember that guy that he said he wanted to buy one. I still think that guy just like got like kidnapped or something, because that guy said that, oh, I found a Charizard Gold Star at my local shop and I just left it there, and then I just remember all of us saying you need to run there now and buy it, because it was like, he said it was like $200 or $300 or something like that. I can't remember the price exactly, but we never heard from him again after that. I thought that was really funny. Like, all of us were like, you need to go back to that store immediately. And we never heard from him again. I don't know what happened to him. I got a Celebi Gold Star, but it's in mod play. I mean, it's still cool to check out. Like, at the end of the day, like, it's always... That's why I like these so much, because I see a bunch of cards that I know I've never even owned. Honestly, there's some that I've never even touched or seen in person, which is really cool. Alright, so it looks pretty unanimous here. So we got a... So chat is thinking PSA 8. So what do I think this Pichu would get? So the only thing really that's kind of drawing this back is the centering on the front, and a very, very slight scratch, but honestly it's not even really that bad by the ear. And then as we flipped it over, the corners and edges actually look really clean. There's really not even much to talk about on the back. So honestly, I think I'm right there with you, chat. I'm also thinking that this would get an 8 as well. But a really clean Pichu. This card was always so cool as one of the baby Pokemon. This one and the Magby, I thought were always so cool. What's a card you've always wanted to have / see in person? That's a good question. I'm really trying to think. I honestly think like the I think like a Gold Star Rayquaza would be really cool. I've only like heard about them, but I've never seen one in person. That's like the only gold star. Well, not the only one, but one of the few that I have not seen in person is a Rayquaza gold star. That'd be really cool. My buddy gave me Magmar EX for my birthday. That's awesome. Yeah, Magby's cool. Totally isn't worth the hype. Right? It's too funny. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Bjorn222, for the really cool spread. And next up, you guys, if you've been here before, you've definitely heard this name tossed around a few times. Next up, we are looking at Poke's meaty collection. He's always coming in with something, and today is no exception. So right off the rip, you guys see it right off, like you're seeing it right now. A first edition base set Chansey. So this one really got to kind of dial in to make sure that we're helping out Poke as much as we can. After seeing 2, I like the card, but for the money, I've never picked one up. Yeah, I like a lot of vintage stuff. Like, I feel like that's why so many people are drawn to Modern as of late, like in terms of like purchasing raw singles or just singles in general, is because the barrier of entry relative to cards like that is much lower. Do you clean these before grading? So these aren't actually my cards, Ken. So these are some submissions from the community that have submitted their cards for grade review. And we're just kind of reviewing them. But for ones that I have personally, I'll clean them with the exception I do not use card wax. I do not use card wax. Yeah, they've only sent it to through the Discord for a free review. That's about it. Alright, so let's get into the Chansey. So, centering looks good. I am seeing, so I'm going to highlight, kind of going to what I was just talking about with Ken. I am going to highlight some spots that I would personally clean with just a Q-tip and some distilled water, meaning that it looks more like dirt than anything. So I'd say where my mouse is. So right there looks like dirt. We can probably get cleaned. Let's see, around the edges. Looks like down here as well. I'm not going to make my mouse go crazy, but nearby my mouse pointer looks like some stuff that we can clean. As well as here. I don't know if that's either a crease or a stain, that line. I'm kind of leaning more towards a crease, but I'm honestly not too sure. Hey Trev, how's it going? Thanks for liking the live. But other than that, for the front, maybe this too, on the belly of the Chansey can probably be cleaned, but not too sure. Edges look good. Text looks good. A little bit of clustered scratches here on that bottom left. Ken, thanks so much for sharing the live. And Trev, thanks so much for the hearts. Appreciate you. But let's see. But yeah, the clustering is something we have to consider too. And we are seeing a lot more whitening on the back, unfortunately. But let's take a look regardless. So all 4 edges are whitened, and all 4 corners are also whitened. And then I think these spots, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these little black spots in the back, I feel like can be cleaned with a Q-tip and water. So I wouldn't really worry about that, but really the most of the damage is going to be that outer edge. So, all right, chat. So I'm going to launch a new poll. So if you want to vote on what you think this Chansey would get. So again, that is the front of said Chansey. And then this is the back. So while I'm waiting for you guys to vote, I'm going to catch up with chat real quick. Let's see. I have a Japanese master set base through gym. That's sick, Roar. That's awesome. You should, if you're on Discord, I'd love to see it for, I'd love to see it on the collection channel. Jay King, thanks so much for the subscribe. I appreciate it very much. And I think you've seen it before, but just to make sure, because TikTok doesn't really do a good job at having me test this stuff beforehand, Please let me know if you do not receive a unique Discord invite for the subscriber grade review. But again, I really appreciate the subscribe. I don't know why I'm saying subscribe, the subscription. I appreciate it very much. Let's see. You didn't really miss much. We're just kind of getting into a few more submissions. This is our second submission for Poke. So I'll post on Discord later tonight. That's awesome. That'd be sick. Business in the part. There you go, Ken. Good binder card. I don't think I got it. What was that, Ooze? Oh, you don't think you got the grade? The sub invite. Huh. Because are you, I guess to not like derail, are you J King 2295? To me, it doesn't, like from what I can tell, it doesn't look like the thing to subscribe. Oh, gotcha. I think it's like a star should be 2 out of 20, I think, on the phone. But anyway, Chansey. So you guys are thinking, it's pretty unanimously, by the way. It was a 5 or 4, which is actually pretty close. So what do I think? So I'm going to have to make a few assumptions, only because there are some areas that I think you could probably clean, would be my guess. Hey, Cody, how's it going? So I think, yeah, definitely Black Label for sure. So I think the spots you can probably clean would be right here in the top, the belly possibly, and the bottom left. But other than that, I don't know if this is a crease or not. It almost kind of looks like one. But we do have some scratches on that front part. But as we flip it over, this is where we see most of the damage. So all 4 corners and all 4 sides are pretty whitened, in addition to some dirt marks that you can probably get cleaned as well. So I think if this bottom part is indeed a crease, which again, a line like that leads me to believe that is the case, I would probably say a 4. However, if you can get that cleaned and it's not a crease, I would probably say a 5. But to be conservative a little bit, assuming that is a crease, I'd probably give it a 4. A 4 would be my guess. All I'm seeing is a well-loved card. Exactly. Exactly. So now we got another big, we have another big lizard, the Shadowless Zard. Wow. Hey, Dream, how's it going? Nice to see you. I know. This is the second Zard of the night. Actually crazy. But anyway. Had to card show early today. You had a card show today on a Wednesday? That's interesting. But then the just a question, what does a reject at grading mean? No spec info. So I had one for one card that one of my buddies wanted me to submit on his behalf. So it was a Force of Will card. And I think if I'm understanding what you're asking, it basically means that they weren't able to find what you're talking about, even though you obviously know the card exists. They just couldn't find it in their database, or they just didn't want to grade it for whatever reason. So they'll say that, but they won't charge you. Because I had that exact same thing happen to me as well. But you have a near mint Zard? That's sweet. Celebrations, though. That's still pretty cool, though. I like that they did the old artwork. Alright, so Shadowless Unlimited Zard. So I'm thinking for centering, the top is a little bit thicker than the bottom for sure. And we also see some scratches near the text of the Charizard. So we got that kind of going against us here for surface. We also have some degree of silvering on these edges as well. So that is definitely going to take a hit on the edge wear for sure. Then we got some, that looks like a print line, but there are definitely more scratches near the flame. Sounds good. Have a good night, user. I don't know what your actual name is because you're anonymous, but it's okay. Have a good night. But yeah, have some scratches near the flame, but nothing on the text other than up top. And ooh, yeah, we definitely got some more whitening on the back for sure. That's unfortunate. Hate to see it, chat, but it is what it is. So essentially, like, whitening on all corners and all edges, essentially. And have some dirt marks on that bottom Pokeball as well. Have some up top. But yeah, this one's definitely a little bit rough for sure. A little bit in rough shape. But let's see what chat thinks. Leave it up to a vote. Hey, Phoenix, how's it going? Nice to see you back. Currently, we're looking at a Zard that's a little loved. Makes me so sad seeing silvering on a card. He has history. I know, it was... Yeah, because Wizards just didn't care. You know, they did not care about changing out those blades. I might just send Beckett another email. I want it in a BGS slab. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, because I'm just only really talking from the perspective of PSA, but I would imagine it's kind of the same. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why you couldn't just send them an email. Just asking, like, hey, you know, like, can you explain the reasoning behind you not grading my card? I mean, you're trying to pay them after all, right? So you'd expect them to grade, but I don't know. I honestly have no idea. It'd be interesting to see what they say. Ooze saying 6. Goes through a middleman, though. Got it. Got it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, then. You also might want to reach out to them, too. Hey, Norris, how's it going? I actually just finished assessing yours. I'll let you know what they got at the end. Okay, so... So 7 or 6. Not sure if I got the roll in Discord or not. I'll check, J King. If you just want to, if you want to message me what your Discord name is, I'll try to see if I can see it on my end. Okay, so what am I thinking this Zard would get? So, have some slight centering issues on the top to the bottom. Centering on the left to the right's okay. Do have some silvering on the left and right edge. We have some surface scratches near the text. Have some scratches near the flame. A print line, which is always unfortunate. But I don't see a lot of issues with the text itself on the bottom of the Zard, so we'll flip it over. The back, however, this is where it's really going to kind of take us down a few pegs. So you can clearly see all edges and all corners are pretty whitened, in addition to some dirt or blemishes on the back. So I think just how severe the whitening is on the back alone, in addition to having some scratches on the text, I personally would probably say a 5, if it were me, for this loved Shadowless Zard. Now we're on another Zard. I'm telling you. Back to back to back. 3 Zards in a row. But yeah, J King, if you're still here, just message. Okay, just name is just J King. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely check in with you after. But I appreciate the subscription. Definitely means a lot. Okay, another Zard, the shadowed version, unlimited. No Golurks, no first edition German in this. We have seen some in the past that were like that. Alright, so centering is actually pretty good on this one. As well as the corner. So it's funny, the silvering on this one, which you would think would have been worse, is actually better. Waiting for a French one. What's its name in French, Civic? but the scratches don't appear to be nearly as much on this holo, which is really good. So let's flip it over. And again, it's the back on all three of these have really been what's been dragging it back, unfortunately. The top edge, not too bad, but it's really the left and the right and the bottom especially is kind of taking it back for sure. Yeah, it's just these back edges, man. It's like what's really kind of dragging these cards back. But this front's actually really nice. There's really not a lot of scratches that I can tell. I mean, there are some like by the neck here or by the flames, but Drakafu? That sounds badass. But yeah. Alright, so let's see what you guys think. There's a new poll active if you want to weigh in on what you think this Charizard from base set would get. Again, there is the front. The back, I'm going to leave it on, just in case if someone wants to vote in late. The back is where it's really the worst. But yeah, it's crazy. I could never imagine having these many Zards growing up as a kid. I feel like if you had this many Zards as a kid, you'd be like the king of the playground. I love the German name, the Golurk. Golurk is awesome. Way too funny. And it's funny too, because like it always throws me for a loop when I see like a German one is the only one I can think of, where it comes in first edition, but then it's shadowed. It's like, oh, well, that threw me off. Like, I always just assume that if base set and first, then Shadowless, but sometimes they're not. Things are going pretty good, Phoenix. Because, like, aren't I... Isn't that the right, I thought that was the right, I might be mispronouncing it, but I thought that was something close in German. Am I saying it wrong? I probably am. But yeah, Phoenix, things are going good. I'm chilling. I always look forward to these Wednesdays for grade review with you guys. It's always a fun middle ground to the week. Just kind of hang out and talk with chat and look at some cool cards. So I always look forward to Wednesdays. Did I get past? If I don't know, I don't think so. I've only looked at 2 so far. And I know those haven't been you. So if you got a message on Discord, then you'll know if you were up for today. Was so close to have a Gold Star Zard, but didn't have the money? Yeah. It's always tough when you have to pass up a card that you really want. It is extremely tough. But, okay, so you guys are thinking 5 out of 4. So the front looks deceivingly really good. Centering looks good. No silvering on the edges. Let me see if this is on my monitor or not. So there's some dirt marks. I can probably get cleaned there. Some slight scratches by the flame, but nothing too crazy. But where it kind of takes down when we flip it over, and when I see like whitening of this magnitude, we're already kind of looking in 5. But fortunately, the front is kind of saving us here. In addition to not seeing any creases, so I also agree. I'd probably say a 5 as well. I'm waiting on my PSA 10 Obsidian Flames Charizard. About a half a month or so left. Is it like a submission, or like why do you have to? I'm assuming you're got it graded or something if you have to wait that long, or it's like starting to go through like the assembly. I'm assuming. Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Alright, so we're starting to get into some e-readers now. So this looks to be a non-holo Nidoqueen from Aquapolis. My graded Dark Charizard got deleted. I'll have to look. Because I know I graded one. Unless it was already graded, Metro, due to the rule change. But I'll have to look. So the centering on this actually because normally with e-readers, I like to look at the thickness from the top to the right. And it looks to be a little bit thicker on this right side than the top. But besides that, not too bad. So when we go to the back, this actually looks pretty clean. It's really just the centering, honestly. It's really just the centering that's kind of off. Like there are some bits of whitening on the left, but I don't know if that's just because of the camera angle or what. Like this is what I was kind of talking about before. This like card stock, but that's about it. I don't know. Let me see if that's on my... That's like one thing. I don't know like what's on my monitor and like what's on the card. I was looking at there's like I thought there was a streak here, but it is on my monitor and not on the card. Let's see. But yeah, honestly, I'd say this is a pretty good condition. I'd say probably just the centering. So you're probably looking at like an 8. Because there's not a lot of damage to like really look at, so I'd probably say an 8 on this one. Ooh. Well, this little derpy boy. Look at that, chat. Little derpy Raichu. Yeah, non-foil for these Snorlax. Yeah, Ooze, just that's one thing I've noticed kind of getting some feedback in some of the surveys that I've done is when people like trust me, I love when I see people submit their graded cards that have gone through the grade review process just for us to see how accurate we are. But there have been some submissions that have been already graded that the cases themselves are either dirty or scratched, and it's hard to determine like what Dream is saying, whether or not the scratches are on the card or the case. And if the person isn't in the chat to differentiate, it just makes it way too hard. And so it's just easier to do it that way. A little derpy. Why is Raichu? That's what I'm saying. This little derpy boy. So funny looking. I've honestly have never seen this. And I think it's kind of like suffering the same centering issue as the Nidoqueen did. And I think this is a little bit of a dirt spot. You could probably get cleaned off, but let's flip it over. This one, honestly, is a little bit better centering on the back. I think this would probably still get an 8 because there are some little bits of whitening on the bottom. But this one would be a solid 8, I think. And then the non-hollow Beedrill. Again, a little bit thicker border on that right side. And same thing. Yeah, I think those are all pretty solid 8s, I would say. Unless there was some stuff that we couldn't really see. Like, that probably is just a little bit of a dust that can probably get cleaned off, but pretty good condition overall on those. So, like, the Nidoqueen, the Raichu, and the Beedrill, my guess would probably get an 8. But alright, so that was Poke's submission. So, Poke, I thank you, as always, for your submission. So, So before I queue up the next one, I'm just going to go over a few things. So we are doing another giveaway here soon. So once we hit a 7,000 follower milestone, I'm going to be doing a giveaway for our Galaxy Gaming resource packs. So it comes with 3 Pokemon booster packs. It comes with a booster pack that we've made and some cards and stuff like that. It's completely free. So once we hit 7,000 followers on TikTok, I'll be launching that both inside the Discord as well as on TikTok. But I don't like how TikTok says when people join. Yeah. And that's another thing I was going to mention too. In addition, I have started... I just started accepting subscribers. So the reason why I started doing that is for a few reasons. So the number one, subscribers allow for folks to, let me just kind of shift this over. So if you want your grade reviews to get a little bit expedited, I made a way that we can do that through subscribing. In addition, if I hit, so I think the current goal is 20. Once I hit it 20, I'm then going to sign up for multi-streaming so I can stream on other platforms other than TikTok. Because that is probably the biggest issue that I see, is that people would prefer me just to stream on other platforms, and honestly I would too. But the service is a little bit pricey, so that's kind of where this is coming into play. So all that goes right back into the stream. So any subscriptions that I make from this just goes into the subscription that I would get for Restream. So that's what I prefer, because I really don't like the idea of hijacking your phones during a live stream. So that is available to you. Again, we saw Bjorn's. You get an expedited sub grade review when you're in there, so it's always good. Poke, thanks so much for the subscription. I appreciate it, man. Really means a lot. And some other perks and stuff here. I'm getting some emotes made. These are just kind of placeholders, but there are Eve and Galaxia exclusive emotes that I am having made in the works right now, so you get to use those as well. So yeah, I just figured I'd just show that off. And then the last announcement is that I do have the vendor POV that I just finished up from my last show. So if you want to take a look at that, that's on my YouTube channel, to where I record myself basically just behind the scenes on what I do and how I negotiate as a vendor, as a show. So if you haven't seen that, that's up now. So yeah, as always, I appreciate all the support that you guys have given so far. Always means a lot. And let me continue on with Ganji. So let me see, because Ganji was supposed to send me a message on what, because he wanted to switch out, but I haven't seen it yet. So I think what I'll do is I'll pause on his. I'll kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. So I'm going to move on to Inosuke. Probably butchered that name, but we shall see. So let's see. Inosuke, where are you? Let's see. Inosuke. You're down a little bit, I think. Here we go. Rayquaza. And another Charizard. You guys love your Charizards. Sounds good, Ooze. Alright, so the Mega Rayquaza. This card looks so sick. It's a really nice looking card. Thanks for the donut, by the way, Poke. Am I still far down the list? Did I message you today, Fly? And if so, what's your Discord name? I can tell you where you're at. Alright, so Mega Rayquaza. Let's see. So this looks pretty clean, so I'm just measuring. So the left side is less than a 1/4 inch. The right side is also less than a 1/4 inch. Let's see. Top is a 1/4 inch, and the bottom slightly less than a 1/4 inch. So it is a little bit thicker on the top than it is on the bottom. And there's a lot going on in this card, so we're going to try to see if we can view the surface here. See if there's anything that stands out. Yeah, so if you didn't get a message, Fly, you might still be down on the list, would be my guess. I know, it's been just like Zard City. But yeah, that front looks good. So these pictures are actually really high quality. Like, I like it when it's a little bit more saturated because it kind of brings out some of that detail. I do see a little bit of a scratch here, though, which is kind of unfortunate. Hopefully that isn't. Hopefully that's just like a dust or something you can kind of get off. but it is a little off center from that top part. So this might probably get you an 8, would be my guess. But from the centering and maybe this kind of looks like it can kind of get off, but I don't know. I really don't know. Might be an 8 or a 7. I don't think at least I don't think so. Because the rest of the card's super clean. I'd probably say an 8 for that one, but... and the Zard. And this is the 4th. It's Lint. Gotcha. So if it's Lint, I'm assuming this is yours if you're saying that it's Lint. If it is, then it'd probably get the 8. Gotcha. Just checked. Yeah, so that'd probably get an 8. So this one, let's see. Let's see. Centering looks good. I don't know if that's whitening on that top left corner or not, but... looks like a little bit of something there between his legs. But besides that, looking pretty good. But, yeah, really, that's the only thing that I see. Again, that might be something you probably get cleaned off. But on the back, centering, something there in between his legs. I know, it's probably not the best wording I could have given, but, you know, it's accurate. You knew exactly where I was looking, which was in between the Zard's legs. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of these white specs you can probably just get cleaned off or wipe off. But other than that, a little bit of whitening on that top right corner. But I think if you can get rid of like this white dot by the feet and some of those little white dots on the back, you're probably looking at a 9. Unless this is like a whitened edge, where since it's on the front, and if some of these are actually on that edge, it's kind of hard for me to tell. That'd probably be an 8, but again, it's really hard for me to tell. Like this, like these like little white chunks or white spots on the left edge, it's really tough. But if those are, because it'd be on this right side, right? So if you flipped it over, it'd be present on this right side. I don't see that, so I really don't know. I'd probably be, if it is bad, it'd probably be like an 8. But if you can get rid of those little white specks, probably be a 9, would be my guess. There's 70 different Charizard variations floating around. That's what I figured, Metro. Sometimes that happens. So that's why I was like, it might just be a lighting thing. But, yeah, it's crazy that there's so many different Charizard variations. And we only have one. What's the baby version of Mantine? Or is that Mantine? I can't remember. There's only like 2 of those printed. Alright, so Suke, thanks so much for your submission. Let me just mark that off real quick. And next up, we got, let's see. We got Georgie. We got Georgie with the Venusaur. Look at that, chat. A starter that isn't a Zard. I also have a graded Charizard, but it's disappeared from the list. Yeah, so that's one of the new rules, Metro. I kind of had to like go through, because like if it was already graded, but with graded cards, it's kind of similar to like the initial thing I asked, like for this example. This isn't actually inside of the sleeve or inside of the top loader, so it makes it much easier for me to actually see what's damaged and what's not on the card, versus, you know, oh, like, is the slab dirty? Is the slab scratched? Is whatever. It just makes it harder for us to really do like a good assessment. However, if you do get like, so if you say, for example, if you did get this Zard graded, I would love for you to post your card, like post this in the Discord to see how close we were. I think that'd be really cool. So I encourage that 100%. Needs less Charizard variations and more Magmi. How many Magmis are there, Ooze? I feel like Magby is like super underrated in terms of prints. Kelly, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And thanks for the likes and stuff too, guys. I definitely appreciate it. Nice to see the love of you guys liking the live, so definitely means a lot. Alright, so let's get into Georgie's with probably one of the cutest PFPs I've seen in the Discord. There's a little chubby hoot hoot. So let's get right into it. So again, I really need to clean my monitor because I don't know what's a crease. So this looks like a crease to me. Unless it's a lighting thing, but this looks like a crease. But we'll kind of put that on the back burner as we look. Because it might be present on the back too. So those two might be creases. I have no idea though. The centering, it looks a little bit fatter on that right side than it does the left. Yeah, definitely Phoenix. After this, I can tell you how to go through the process too, if you're wondering. I think it might be good because you might not be the only person asking, or wondering rather. But the hollow scratches, there are some, but not as many as I would expect. So we have like 1, 2, 3 by the top pedals there. Oh, look at you, Phoenix. A super user over here. But other than that, I don't see any print lines. It's just really those big 3. Well, I shouldn't say big, but the more noticeable scratches. Let's see. So that does look like a little bit of a fold there on that top right. You kind of see. So actually, this lighting is really good. So you can see that the lighting is making this edge darker. That tells me that that's bent slightly. So as we kind of go around, we also see some whitening on that left edge. We see some whitening in that bottom left-hand corner, as well as that bottom right-hand corner and the bottom edge. But all in all, not too bad. You know, all things considered for a base set starter. So let me start a new poll for you guys. So what do you think this Venusaur from base set would get? So the poll should be active on your device now if you want to vote. And then again, for those of you who are coming in, this is your chance. Yeah, I can't see because of TikTok's blow. I know. It's really tough, Ooze. It's really tough. That's why, you know, like I said, like I don't want to keep like kind of shilling out, but the subscriptions, like if we hit that goal, will allow me to do a restream or a multi-stream, which I think would be really nice to do. Because personally, I like, on one hand, TikTok Live makes it really easy to get that exposure, but the fact that I have to essentially hijack your phone the entire time is just not user-friendly if you want to stay longer than 30 seconds. I mean, when you put it under a microscope, how perfect can a card actually get? Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what the professionals use. You know, like, that's kind of why I like doing these grade reviews, because everything that I'm showing, I also do in person with my microscope and my cleaning methods. So it's really just good to kind of have a good idea on what to look for. So if you are out in the wild, right, at like a local game store or a show or even a garage sale, if you're lucky enough, you'll know what to look for and have a good idea on what the grade would be. But yeah, if the pros use it, might as well use the same technology or the same approach. There's only 7 Magmy variations. That's interesting. That's super interesting. I'll give it a few more seconds here while you guys wrap up. Currently, you're tied. That's why I'm kind of leaving it. Currently, the vote is tied. But, alright, so, let's see. So you guys are... Let's see. Who's coming in with the second double dip? Well, you know what? I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you, Ooze. It honestly hurts my feelings because I swear I have some phenomenal cards, but now they may have. I mean, they might. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of it's definitely a tough pill to swallow, but you know, at the end of the day, like that's just what a reputable grading company is going to look for. I mean, and at the end of the day, that's what you want, so. Okay, so what am I thinking this Venusaur would get? So really the big thing for me is it's so tough for me to really know if these are creases on the bottom or not. I don't really know, but they just look to be like 2 small creases in that bottom left-hand corner. But the front of this looks pretty good. Definitely a near mint contender if those weren't there on the bottom left. But on the back, we do have a slightly curled edge on that top right-hand corner, as well as some whitening in the bottom left and this left edge and bottom right corner. So I'm gonna have to, like, very rarely, I'm gonna have to kind of give two grades here. So if this is a dent, which to me it appears so, Kara, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. If these are dents, you're probably looking at a 4, to be honest, because I know how harsh PSA is with dents. But if it's not, and these are just like illusions of light for whatever reason, then I would probably say that this would probably get a 6, only because this is curled on this top edge. That for sure I can tell. Or maybe a 7, I don't know. Like a 7 or a 6. Let me look at it one more time. Yeah, I'd probably say, man, I'd probably say a 6, just for that curled edge. But so I'm not gonna. So it could be a 4 if these are bends in the bottom left. It could be a 6 if they're not. This one's a little bit tough to tell, to be honest. Grom, thanks so much for the follow. Wish I could see the curl. I know, and that's what's tough, because like it looks pretty. Like if this isn't as bad in person, I can just tell that that's something going on there. But the big one I really want to know is that bottom left. I have no idea if those are like 2 vertical bends or not. I see Road to Superstars. Hey Chris, how's it going? Min, welcome. Hello to you too. Who's bends? I have no idea what that means. All right. So yeah, you can go left. You can like swipe left, I'm pretty sure. Oh, long hold and clear view, got it. I know there's like different ways that you can like kind of see just the full. So Georgie, thanks so much for that submission. Next up we have Umbral Rose. So let's take a look at Umbral Roses. And again, if you guys want, turn it back around, please. Okay, I got you. While I'm queuing up the next one. Oh, Georgie, how's it going? A lighting issue, but I already sold that card, so now it's just total curiosity. Gotcha. So I'm thinking if it was just a lighting thing, I was probably saying a 6. I don't know if you just got in here or not. But it's more of like the curling on that top left and the whitening on the left edge, the left corner, and then that bottom right. Grum, 2 questions. How can I submit my cards to you, and how much does its centering matter compared to a fold? Centering matter. So let me answer this in 2 parts, Grom, because I think, so the first part, the easiest way to join or to submit your cards for grade review, which is a completely free service, if you go to my pinned video, there should be a thumbnail that says grade review and how to. If you watch that, it's about a 45-second video, and from there, you will get instructions on how to join the Discord, what channel to go into, and what requirements are necessary to submit your cards. It is a first come, first served basis. However, as of last week, there is a way to have your grades or grade review expedited if you subscribe. Maximum 5 cards per person per stream or per week. But it is $5 a month in addition to some other perks. So, but yeah. Serious question. Is it really that hard to get a PSA 10? Yes. Yes. Blast, thanks so much for the follow. Yeah, Pack Fresh, that's another big thing that some content creators will tell you, is that Pack Fresh does not guarantee a PSA 10. There is a lot, and if you're just joining us, I'm gonna cue a really good example from Umbral Rose, who has submitted a Giratina V-Star. Again, a modern card, but we will see if it actually, so I can tell right off the bat, it probably won't because of this, but let's take a look nonetheless. Oh, yes, thank you, Grom. So the centering, so the big four, and I'll kind of use this as an example to kind of answer your question, just in case if you're not the only one. So the main four criteria for grading, and I think there's probably a fifth hidden one, but the main four are centering, corners, edges, and surface. And then the hidden fifth one is eye appeal, in my opinion. So they all four of those are assessed on a 1 to 10 scale. So for your question about centering compared to scratches and folds, so centering is one category, and then scratches would be, that could be, like, just to make it easy, that would probably impact primarily surface. And folds would also impact surface. So that would impact the surface score. So if there was a lot of scratches and folds, the surface score might be a 2, but if it's centered really well, it might be like the centering score would be a 9. So then you average those two numbers together, and that's how you get the score. The sixth one is sneaking. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Space, thanks so much for liking the live. Seems like we're right up our alley. Yeah, definitely can. Centering tools are really big. Or if you don't have a centering tool, a ruler works too. Like if you have like a transparent ruler. Big Mexican, thanks so much for liking the live. Appreciate it. So Shuck, let's just go through it right now. I actually answer your question. So this is what I'm looking for in this Giratina. So I literally, you can't see it on stream, but I have a ruler that I press up against the monitor. So I'm gonna walk you through step by step. Yo, thanks so much for following. I appreciate that. So I'm going to measure the left and the right. So on my screen, so it's a little bit blown up in the sense that I have it magnified. So on the left, it's currently measuring 1/4 of an inch. So the centering, perfect centering is 50-50 ratio, meaning that if it's 1/4 inch on the left, it should also be 1/4 inch on the right. So if I put my ruler up to my monitor, it is 1/4 inch to the right. So technically, based off, again, it might be different in person, but if I measure the left and the right edge, they are both 1/4 inch apart, which tells me that it's 50-50 ratio or perfect centering from the left to the right. But obviously we have to also check the top and the bottom. So on the top, it is just slightly over 1/4 inch. So on the bottom, it is at or slightly 1/4 inch on the bottom. So I would say, just for argument's sake, we're in the realm, we're in that range. Because normally I don't know if it's 55-45 or 60-40 on the front and a little bit more on the back. But a good rule of thumb is like 55-45 is probably like the most extreme. But other than that, though, so now I'm looking at the surface and edges. So again, corners, edges, and surface on modern cards. For like during these grade reviews, I normally go through these pretty quick because it's assumed that when you open this or purchased it, it didn't get thrown down a flight of stairs. So when I look at the back, I'm also going to do the same thing. So measuring on the left, so the left side slightly more than 1/4 inch, and on the right is also slightly 1/4 inch more so. So that's good. So the top is slightly over 1/4 inch, and the bottom is just slightly over 1/4 inch. So the centering is really good. So, however, Umbral sent so going back to Shocky's question, right, about like, pack, this is technically a pack fresh card, right? We have to assume. So just because it's pack fresh does not mean, I wish I knew how to pronounce your name, but I appreciate the follow, is that it doesn't always guarantee a 10. And so here, which I'm very grateful that they sent this picture with this light exposure, you can see this line down the middle. And that, going back to your question, like going back to the fold, so to speak. So this would, like a fold would impact the surface grade. This would impact the surface grade as well, this little fold. So normally when someone submits a modern card for grade review, the question is, would it get the 10 or not? Oh, thanks so much for the 15 lightning bolts. Thanks, Shocky. Very fitting. So this would not get the 10. Honestly, with that crease or with that bend, it probably would even get like a 6, to be honest, like a 7 or a 6, because bends, because I have a few cards graded that I save for shows just to use as examples for people who don't really understand the severity of a dent like this. So I'd like to keep it for this. So I've seen this as an example of these getting 6s. So that's why I'm kind of a little bit biased and think that would get a 6 because of that. But what constitutes a misprint? How far off does the centering need to be? I actually, if you just give me a quick second, funny enough, I think I actually have a card that was graded that actually got what's called a subgrade, or like as a grading qualifier for being off center. So just give me 1 second. I'll show exactly. I should still have the scan too. Let me see. At least I hope I do, because that'd be a really good example. Because I was like, man, it came back as an OC, huh? Let's see. Meowth. Here we go. Near mint OC. I'm gonna try to hopefully get this over. So that is a card that I've submitted. So you can see that it does in fact have the 8 OC, which stands for off center. So this is, if you have one that's severely off center, you'll get this subgrade. So you can see that this left edge is super thick and this right edge is super thin. So if I rotate it, you can see that this left edge is razor thin and that right edge is super thick. And so I think the scan kind of makes it tough, but there is a what Civic was saying, that there is a centering dot right at the tip of my mouse. It's really hard to see on stream, but there is one there that qualified this Jigglypuff to get the 8 off center grading qualifier. So that's hopefully that answered your question. So that was Umbral Rose with the Giratina V-Star. So I appreciate that. And again, for those of you who are coming in here, my name is Galaxia Gaming, and we do a free grade review for the community every Wednesday from 7 to about 10 o'clock Eastern. So if you want to know how to submit your cards to get graded for free or assessed, if you watch the pinned video that's called Grade Review and How To, it'll give you a set of instructions. It's about a 45-second video. It'll teach you everything you need to know about how to join the Discord, how to join the appropriate channel, as well as the rules that are required to follow in order to submit. And if you want to not wait, because it is a first come, first served basis, I am offering a subscription model that gives you priority for grade review the following week. So if you want to take advantage of that and help support the stream, all the money that is donated and subbed goes directly into the stream. The main goal is to fund a restream so I can stream on YouTube as well. But yeah. Yeah, of course, Chrome. I like to, I try to do my best to answer these questions as thoroughly as I can. Shelby, thanks so much for the follow. By chance, did you grade mine? I missed it last week. So, Fish, if you got a message about me reviewing your card last week, the VOD, the last week's VOD should be uploaded tomorrow. So if you didn't see if you didn't see it in the one that was uploaded today, you might see it uploaded tomorrow. I just don't know what the time, I don't know at what point in the stream or what point in the VOD. So you just have to kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, so if you haven't gotten one yet, it means that you might be close in the queue. And then if you see the microphone reaction, so you can kind of like, I'm actually doing it live right now in the Discord. I'm marking what I've streamed with the little microphone emoji. But next up we have, I think Civic is still in here. This one is like a nice spread for sure. So let me get these queued up real quick. We got a nice Team Rocket returns, which is always super cool. So let's get these queued up. And then you wanted your... This one's actually really cool. So he is sending this in for a friend, which is super cool. Derek, thanks so much for liking the live. Appreciate it. You should do a personal grading. I don't want to wait for Wednesday. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, right now, like, the only thing is that I can kind of offer is just that subscription, but I think as I kind of, once I hit that milestone, that 20 subscriber milestone, I do plan on doing kind of like an antique roadshow style to not only do a grade assessment of your cards, but also kind of break down, you know, because a lot of people ask me, like, is it worth grading? Is it worth selling? And I can actually help break down a lot of like the return on investment and help you decide whether or not it's worth it or not. But yeah, until I hit that subscriber milestone, that's kind of where we're at. Let's see. Raider, have never graded any cards, but might send to CGC because it's personal collection. That's what's always nice too, Raider. If you just have like a personal collection, you couldn't care less what they come back graded. That's great. You know, because you can just kind of basically you just pick whatever slab you like the most. So if you like CGC slabs over Beckett or PSA, like, it's more power to you. I personally think it's cool to do that because you can kind of preserve your personal collection, if anything, if you don't care what the grade comes back as. Okay, Civic, so you are up next. It's weird that the Raikou is secret rare. It is interesting. If we sub, how many do we get reviewed? So you can, so how the subscription works, so if you sub, so once the queue closes, so you would be, you would have priority for next Wednesday. And it's up to 5 per submission per day. So like, say for example, if you submitted 10 cards, you would have the first 5 reviewed like next Wednesday, and then you'd have the remaining 5 reviewed the following Wednesday, if that makes sense. So if you sub today, you would have 5 cards reviewed on the 22nd, and then the remaining 5 on the 29th. I don't know if that makes sense, but... Alright, so Rocket's Raikou EX. And like what Civic's saying, this is a secret rare, apparently. I didn't even know that. Okay. So let's take a gander at this Raikou. So the centering actually looks pretty decent, honestly. The big thing that I can tell, though, is more of the scratches by the legs here. Let's see. Stealth, thanks so much for the subscription. I appreciate it. And again, for those of you who are subscribing, if you don't get a Discord message or anything like that, just let me know, please. Because it should send you an invite to the subscriber grade review channel. And if it doesn't, I'll reach out to you and see if I can... Because TikTok doesn't let me test it beforehand, which is really annoying. But I appreciate it. So... Yeah, scratches by the legs. Let's flip it over. Wow, that back looks really clean. Actually, I should probably shift it here. Because you also have... So this is what's nice too. If you do have a card that is hollow, it does help to kind of take some different angles as well. Because here we can see some of these scratches more illuminated. So we have some in the top right, the top left. So scratch is kind of all over the place a little bit. Like versus if you didn't see that light, you can't really see them pop as much. So that is something we have to consider. But the back on this card, Civic, looks phenomenal. Also hidden swirl in the text. You know I'm a sucker for swirls. Oh, there it is. Right by the rockets. I'm a sucker for swirls, chat. Big sucker for swirls. But yeah, that back looks really clean. Really the only thing that I can tell, and I honestly see it more in just like modern cards as of late, is these little white dots in the corners here. But yeah, let me start a new poll for you guys. So a new poll should be active. So again, for those of you who are coming in new, this is the part where you're allowed to vote on your device. So a poll should be active in the top left-hand corner and weigh in on what you think this Rockets Ryko EX would get as a PSA grade. So again, there's the front, there's the first shot, there is the second shot. Really nice looking card though. And then there is the back. So while I'm letting that poll go through, I'm just going to catch up with chat just real quick. And of course, you guys are trying to tie the damn thing. Raider, I think it does. How do we do that? I've never done anything but watch on TikTok. So so there should be a star that says like 4 out of 20 currently. I think if you tap that, it should point you to the right direction on subscribing. And again, for those of you who do subscribe, if you don't get the Discord link message, just please reach out to me, either through Discord or through TikTok, and I'll verify that you get the appropriate link. But yeah, I appreciate it. But yeah, if you guys want to try to vote, make sure to tap the poll that should be in the top left to weigh in, because what I do is I just, whatever the winning vote is what I consider the average. At best, I think it'd be a 7. Yeah. All right, so chat on average is actually pretty close. Chat is thinking on average an 8 with the most votes. So what do I think this Rockets Ryko EX from Team Rocket Returns would get? So I'm honestly just going to stick with probably this picture. This one does, because the centering on this was really good on the front. It's really just the scratches that I'm most concerned about. And based off of this front, they don't look crazy, these scratches, but they are there for sure. So if we flip it, the back is really nice. And I'm assuming that these little white specks can probably just be wiped off with a microfiber cloth. So I'm not too worried about those. Really the biggest thing is just these little white dots in the left, right, and top corners of the card. So I'm thinking that with everything being shown, unless these scratches in person look deeper or more abrasive than they do here, because the only thing that I can see this looks almost like clustered. So normally when I see clustered scratches, that tends to be more noticeable on the surface score. So I'd say probably either like a soft 7 or a hard 6 based off of this alone. But I'm probably, just based off how PSA has been lately, I'd probably give you a 7. But are you taking any orders? So this is a free service, 3D prints. So unless you want your grades like expedited through subscription, all you have to do is just join the Discord, submit your cards for review in our grade review channel, and every Wednesday from 7 to about 10 or 11 Eastern, we just go through and review cards for free. Do I do any card cleaning? At this time, no, but I'm working towards it. I'm having a few moderators and some people who have been pretty consistent in the channel helping me test the logistics of it. So definitely stay tuned. Definitely stay tuned. PYG, thanks so much for the follow. I know, that Ryko is nice. Yeah, so definitely, you know, kind of a self-plug. If you want to know when that goes live, if you want to either follow the TikTok or follow the Discord, I post all my notifications and stuff like that. How much would that service be? That's what I'm trying to figure out, Raider. I have some different tiers that I'm working on, but I have a few more people that I want to try to run it through to kind of get their feedback before I offer it to the community. FSN, thanks so much for the follow. Yeah, because you guys, for those of you who have been for my cleaning streams, like I'll use a microscope, I'll use a Q-tip. The one thing I do not use though, is I do not use any card wax, because even the CEO of PSA said it himself that card wax or chemicals of any kind is considered an alteration, and I, as a business, I just don't want to take that risk. So I pretty much do everything but using card wax. But anyway. On to the reverse rare Dark Houndoom. This card looks insane. Can we send you pics of cards? Yes, in the Discord. If you want to know how to submit in the Discord, just go to my profile on TikTok. There's a pinned video with a thumbnail that reads grade review and how to. It's about a 30-second video. Just watch that. It'll tell you how to go to my website to find the Discord link, how to sign up, and what channel you need to submit, as well as all the rules you need to abide by. They're not that many, and honestly, most of them are kind of self-explanatory, but we're doing a grade review accent. So we're actually reviewing Civics cards right now. So the centering on this Dark Houndoom, it looks a little bit thicker on the left than it does on the right. So that might take it back a little bit. This one I found at that mysterious like Holy Grail local card shop. Gotcha, Civic. But other than the centering, I'm not seeing, because I think you actually said something in Discord that you said something about this card that I have to take note of, because you're saying line in the top right isn't a scratch. Had to confirm that with my regular holo that it was part of the art. So line in the top right. Oh, I think I see what you're saying. I'm thinking, I'm assuming this one. Is that the one you're talking about? Gotcha. Gotcha. So what about this one then? I don't know if you can see it on stream. I'll kind of leave it there for a little bit. But the one like closest to this front leg, like right above that fighting energy symbol, is that a scratch as well, or is that part of the artwork? Because honestly, like offhand, I don't know either. I really don't. But other than that, probably a scratch. Okay, so I'll just like soft assume that it's a scratch, but doesn't look like a bad one, so I'm not really too concerned with it. So let's flip it over. Wow, this card is in such good shape. That's really crazy. The centering, it does look a little bit thicker on the top, though. This top part looks a little bit thicker than it does on the bottom. But man, what a nice looking Houndoom, for sure. Yeah, I'm actually curious what you guys think. I started a new poll if you want to vote what you think this Dark Houndoom is, and based off of what Civic said, is that the only thing that we could see is that this line is not a scratch, it's actually part of the artwork, but we believe that this may be a scratch. But man, other than that, it's really just the centering that's kind of like the only thing really to critique, which is really crazy. And I believe that this is probably just a little fuzzy you can kind of get rid of, but man, what a beautiful card. So yeah, if you want to vote, the poll should be active now if you guys want to weigh in on what you think this Dark Houndoom would get. And while you do that, I'm going to catch up with chat real quick. Grome. What if my top loader has some bend to it? If the top loader has some bend to it, I mean, top loaders are so inexpensive to begin with that it might just be worth just getting a new top loader, in my honest opinion. Like, if anything, you could probably just go to a local card shop and say, hey, do you just have a spare top loader that isn't bent? And they probably would just give one to you. Like, literally, I have so many, sometimes I just, like, throw some away. They're not that expensive. But, Raider, I have slabs that I purchased. They are 8s. Would you say they are harsher graders back then or now? So I think a lot of people tend to say that like older cert numbers for PSA, they were more like lenient and didn't really know what they were assessing. And that's kind of a slippery slope. Like I kind of see like why people think that for sure, but it's a little bit of a slippery slope. But But yeah, I definitely have heard that a few times for older slabs being graded much like more lenient, like what Civic's saying. Friend had a gold star Trico that would 8, now that's a 10. Yeah, I believe it. Accent, thanks so much for the follow, I appreciate it. And Darkrise Dungeon, thanks so much for the like. And I appreciate all the likes, guys. Definitely means a lot that you all like this style of content. Really does mean a lot. Alright, so you guys are thinking on average an 8. And I think you're not far off the mark, because that's, I think, what I was kind of thinking too. Because really the only thing was the centering and this very, very faint scratch. So honestly, you know what, chat? I'm not even going to argue with you. I think you guys are right. Hey, Zubair, how's it going? You do grading? I do. Yep. Not as a service at this time, but hopefully very soon. I'm going through a testing period to make sure that that the logistics are all there. Because the one big thing that I really have to be careful for if someone wants to use me as a middleman is liability. So if someone says, hey, you damaged my card when you sent it to PSA, I want compensation. Like, how do I handle that, you know? So I'm just trying to get that stuff figured out. Let's see. Krendren. This is actually a really good question. Why would PSA charge more for a more valuable card? Do they treat it differently? Yes, they do. So let me actually, I think it's a good question. So let me get this up real quick. So PSA has different grading submission tiers based off the overall declared value of a card. And just bear with me 1 second. I gotta shift scenes here real quick. Do this, and we're going to go over here. Okay, so from Krendren, for those of you who are coming in here, asked why are there different, why would PSA charge more for a more valuable card? So basically, it just depends on how much manpower and resources they need to invest to make sure that that card that's being declared like $10,000 is taken really good care of, right? So that's why these different services exist, and there's a premium to it too. So you can kind of see, right? So it's a regular service, $75 a card. If you have a card that is worth $1,500, you get it back in 10 business days. You get it back in a sleeve or whatever. That's not really the point. But the point is that you essentially are paying for like a white glove service because the card is so expensive. Because if they damage that card, you're definitely going to try to get your money back from them. And they don't want to damage cards, and they don't want to pay out, $2,500 because they screwed up your card. You know what I mean? They'd rather have you pay them $75 and that's it, versus you pay $75, they mess it up, and God forbid they destroy it and they have to pay you $1,500. You know what I mean? So something like that. That's the best way I can explain it. But back to the Jolteon Gold Star. So from what Civic said, very kind, submitted this into the Discord on behalf of a friend. So let's see what this Jolteon Gold Star, personal favorite Pokemon. Even though an evolution, yeah, kind of a basic answer, but Jolteon's my favorite out of all the evolutions. So the left side is a little bit thicker than the right, as well as the bottom being thicker than the top. So centering's a little off. But besides that, the corners look good. Let's see. Which, thanks so much for sharing the live. Will you look at my cards if I send them into Discord? I will, but they won't be today. So, Caleb, thanks so much for following. So if you want them like guaranteed to be reviewed next week, that's one of the benefits of being a subscriber. So you have priority grade review. But besides that, it is all a first come first serve basis. So there is a little bit of a queue. So it probably wouldn't be next week, just to be transparent. But the front of this card looking really good, actually. So let's hopefully, fingers crossed, it looks good on the back. Yeah. Yeah, it looks good. There is some whitening, though. Like on that top right-hand corner, that top left, as well as that bottom, that side left. But other than that, looks actually pretty good. It does have a handful of scratches that are fairly hard to see at the top. I think I kind of see them now that you mention it. Like right here. I'm trying to like highlight it here. So we have a faint scratch there on the top left and some here at like that top right. I think that's what you're talking about. But other than that, I'm trying to see if I see any other scratches. Nothing that I can see. But really nice looking card though, honestly. So let's see. Let me start a new poll. So what do you guys think this Jolteon Gold Star would get? So if you want to vote, again, if you're new here, the poll should be active in the top left-hand corner of your device. It should look like a little clipboard. If you want to weigh in on what you think this Jolteon Gold Star would get as a PSA grade, you can vote now, because at the end, the average of the chat grade will be, or the average will be the chat grade. So that is the front of the Jolteon, and that is the back. Most of the issues are on the back instead of the front, so I'll kind of leave it there. Krendrin, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate it. It's crazy that a PSA 10 in this goes for 2,300 and a PSA 9 goes for 800. I know. That's why, like, honestly, like, I'm gonna be real with you. When I do like collections, I'd rather just buy PSA 9s over 10s. Like the fact that I could buy essentially 2 to 3 other cards for the same price as one is nuts to me. You know what I mean? So like if a Jolteon, Vaporeon, Flareon Gold Stars at PSA 9s equaled to PSA 10 of this Jolteon Gold Star, like I'd rather just have the trio as 9s. Like they're still mint. I have 2 votes, a high 7 or low 8. We know that one, because that one was the, ironically, what was that again, Civic, that grade? Was that the one that got a 10? Or no? Or one got an 8 or something, because I remember the 8, yeah, okay. How many can I send in you can send in as many as you want, Caleb. It's just limited to 5 cards per week. So for example, if you submitted 10 cards, once it got down to you in the queue, like out of your submission of 10, only the first 5 would be reviewed, and then the remaining 5 would be reviewed like probably the next week if you do them all at once. Yeah, so up to 5 per, like, you can submit as many as you want, but each stream I only review up to 5. Yeah, no worries. All right, so what are you guys thinking? You guys are thinking an 8. So chat thinks that this Jolteon Gold Star would get an 8. So let's take a look. So the centering is really the big thing that I notice on the front. And then based off of the pictures, there are very limited scratches based off of what Civic was saying. So we can kind of see some very faintly underneath the Jolteon text here and underneath the 70 HP here. So if we flip it over, it's really mild whitening on these corners. So like one here, some very faint on that bottom left-hand corner, and one very faint on that left side, and one there on the top as well. But overall, a really nice looking card. It's really just the centering that's giving you the most issues. So I would say, so like what Civic was saying, there might be more aggressive scratching on here. If there is, it'd probably be a 7. But based off of what I'm seeing here, and just basing it off of the pictures alone, I think that's probably I think this is probably like a little bit of a fuzz or something. I'd probably say an 8. But again, if the scratches were more severe in person, it would probably get a 7, would be my guess. But this is about what my friend's Trico looks like on the back. Gotcha. It's still, yeah, I love Gold Stars. That's probably like my favorite quote-unquote gimmick like even compared to like the Shinings, because they did it for so many really cool cards. All right, so thank you again, Civic, for that submission. Hopefully your friend is appreciates that assessment. But next up we have Jordan. Jordan with some quick modern cards. Let's take a look. Let me close out some of these other tabs here. My computer's starting to slow down because of how many tabs I got open. There we go. All right, so I did that one for you, Civic. And I got to remember that you wanted the Jolteon switched out for the Gardevoir. So let me just get that out of the way. Boom. Perfect. And I see chat in my peripheral. I'll react here in a second. I'm just making sure that I don't forget to mark some of these cards complete, because that's how I track on what cards I've reviewed, so I don't miss anyone. All right, so next up we have Jordan's submission of the Colossal VMAX Rainbow Rare. Off center for sure. So with modern, again, just as a recap, I tend to go a little bit faster for modern because it's assumed that these cards are at least taken care of when they're open from the pack. And so on this side, when you're trying to measure centering of a card like this, you really want to look at this edge right here. So if this edge is thicker than this edge, which in this case it is, then this would not get a 10. Because it would be considered off center, as well as this side. So this left side is, let me try to zoom out just one more time so you can actually see what I'm hovering over. Man, hold on. Let me do this. There we go. So this left edge is much thicker than that right. So this probably wouldn't get the 10 if that's what you're looking for. So it might not be worth grading this. So next is a Charizard GX. Do we have to submit through Discord? Yes. That's the way I kind of keep track of everyone. And I don't know if you heard my spiel, but the best way to go to my Discord is if you go to my pinned video that has the thumbnail that says grade review and how to. It's about a 45-second video. It'll teach you how to get to the Discord, what channel to post in, and all the instructions needed to post. I know this is like the 5th, because we had 2. So Poke had 2, Bjorn had 1. I think this is the 5th Zard today. Spoofing, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Almost missed you. But let's take a look. This centering is pretty off, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, the big thing I'm looking at is the bottom here compared to the top. Like, that black line is basically on the top edge. And for those of you who have never seen, like, kind of this, like, black line. So these older GXs, or, like, tag teams, this black line kind of puts the centering in hard mode, almost. Because if this black line is clearly off-center from this silver, like this, for example, is a really good example, actually. It would be considered a little off-center because that black line is so close to the artwork and so far away from that edge. So this would be off center. And you kind of see that bottom of it too is a lot thicker on the bottom than it is on the top. Christian, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate it. So yeah, so again, for modern, my big thing is, like, unless someone says it in the Discord and they want to know something different, I always assume that if someone submits a modern-ish card in, they want to know if it's going to get a 10, and I don't think this would get the 10. In my opinion, just because of the centering issues. And Jesse, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate it, guys. And yeah, so we have a few more for the night. Seems like it's going pretty quick. So as I queue up Bill Cosby's, which I think Bill Cosby is currently in here, so watch yourselves. For those of you who are wondering what this is, again, this is a grade review, and it's a completely free service. If you want to watch the pinned video called Grade Review and How To, it'll give you all the instructions you need on where to go to the Discord, what channel to submit, and a new feature that we're offering is a subscription model. So basically all this is if you want your cards expedited for next stream, if you can't wait for the week or two, it's $4.99 in addition to some other cool perks. You have access to the subscriber grade review channel that again gives you expedited service up to max 5 cards per submission. It also comes with some other cool stuff as well. So if you want to subscribe to that, all the money that I make from subscriptions or donations goes directly back into the stream. So currently I have a goal set for 20, which is targeted to do multi-streaming to both Twitch, or not to Twitch, to TikTok and YouTube. So then that way I can provide more streaming preferences to folks based off of that. So yeah. So next up we got, let's see. Let's see. All right, so I'm just gearing up for the next one here. So that was Bill Cosby's next, with some really cool Shining cards. Always a nice little treat to see these. So let me get back into the right screen here. Was I going to be up? Did I message you today, Witch? Because everyone, it's tough sometimes because some people's Twitch name, or Twitch, I keep saying that, TikTok's names are different than their Discord names. So if I messaged you today, then it would be. But if I haven't, it wouldn't have been. Oh, you're, yeah. I know you are a user, but I don't know what 4S's is. Okay, so we have, first up, I'm for Run Up. Yeah, it doesn't look like you were on my list today, from what I can tell. Okay, so the Shining Knocked Owl. It almost looks like whatever you like blanket you took a picture of this on almost matches with the background of the Shining Knocked Owl, which is interesting. So let me measure the centering because these are pretty big cards because you have a Shining Mewtwo and a Shining Knocked Owl. So the left is a 1/4 inch because again I'm just using a ruler, and on the right it's a little bit thicker than a 1/4 inch. So based off of this angle, like what Giant's saying, the right side is a little bit thicker than the left. So the top is just over a 1/4 inch, but the bottom, man, that's almost like a 1/2 inch on my screen. So again, it might be the angle. So you might have to kind of do some recentering on your own, or not recentering, some measurements. But yeah. But the left and right, we just talked about that. I don't know why I got distracted again. That might be on my monitor, which it is. So the tough part that I really want to make sure I'm careful with is sometimes it is tough to look at for scratches on Shining cards because of the texture really hides scratches well, but from what I can tell is really clean. And I flip it over, the back is actually really clean as well, which again, kudos to anyone that takes good care of these cards. Any language in Pokemon, Jesse, is totally fine. As long as it's Pokemon. So that left edge, or left corner, has some whitening there. But that left edge is really nice. We do have some whitening here, though. Have some slight whitening, maybe on that bottom left-hand corner, but it might just be how the picture's taken. Have a white dot on the bottom. And then as we go up this right edge, there is a white speck there that looks like it kind of be wiped away with a microfiber cloth. But other than that, it's a really nice looking card. I found them in a house I was demoing. That's insane. It's always so crazy to me, like, hearing stories like that. Like, the fact that this card lasted in this condition long enough, especially in a house that you're demoing, is insane. So kudos to you to even finding these. So yeah, let me kick off a new poll. So what do you guys, if you want to vote on your device now, the poll should be active, what you think this Shining Noctowl would get? So there is the front of the Shining Noctowl. Really the biggest thing that I'm honestly noticing, with the exception of some whitening on the back, is just the centering. Is really the biggest thing that I'm seeing. That's what I said, Phoenix. The background of the Noctowl fits really well with whatever the fabric is on behind the card. I don't know if you did that on purpose or not, but it does look pretty cool. Honestly, it kind of looks like you almost like cut it out, which is really interesting. But man, what a nice looking card. Well, your bedsheet matches the Shining Noctowl. It was meant to be for you to demo that house. All right, so chat is thinking an 8. So chat is thinking 8. Let me move this up a little bit. All right, so I think you guys are pretty close. It's really just the centering, but I think it's within that that limit. And I honestly think that some of those like very, very small dots, like I think this one I don't think is anything, only because it looks more like what I see like when pictures are taken, kind of just like you kind of see the center of the card almost. This looks a little bit whitening, and 1, 2, 3 little dots, but I think you can get rid of this one. But other than that, I don't see anything major that would set this back to a 7. So I honestly think you guys are pretty spot on with that 8, honestly. But man, what a nice looking Noctowl for sure. All right, next we have the Shining Mewtwo. This one has a little bit, but again, I remember when we looked, if you guys remember when we looked at another Shining Mewtwo, I don't know if it was like 2 weeks ago, they had a major, like, not a major, but a noticeable bend or ding in the tail, and it ended up getting an 8, and we all thought it was going to get a 6. So I don't know how that works out, but let me reset these scores and let me continue on here. All right, so let me measure the centering here. So the right side is just slightly over 1/4 inch, and the left side is right at 1/4 inch. So the top is 1/4 inch, and the bottom is over 1/4 inch. So it looks like it's bottom heavy, mostly. So far we got a little bit off centering. And then as for the edges, let's take a look. Edges look good. Do have some dirt or something there that you can probably get cleaned off with a Q-tip and some distilled water. But let's keep on keeping on. That's really about it. And let's check out the text. Text looks good. And let me now look at the actual Mewtwo itself. So this one, unlike the Noctowl, has a little bit more noticeable scratches. So you can kind of see some pretty notable ones on the face here. We have some near the arm, kind of shooting across to its mouth almost. Have some at the tip of the tail, but besides that, probably one here by like the vein or connector. I don't even know what you call that, but other than that, let's flip it on over. The back of this bad boy, let's measure it. Does Hollow Bleed affect the grade? I don't believe so. I don't believe so. The reason why I say I don't believe so is because I personally don't have enough experience grading Hollow Bleed cards to know. But I don't believe it would. So, a little bit bottom heavy on this one, on the back. But other than that, we see some whitening on the top there. More so than we did the Noctowl. Some whitening on that left side. Very mild, but it is there. Bottom left. Bottom right. Not bad. So you do see some scratching near the button of the Pokeball as well. But let's launch a new poll, shall we, chat? So new poll is active on the Shining Mewtwo if you want to vote on what you think this Shining Mewtwo would get. Again, a little bit more scratching on this Shining Mewtwo, more so than the Noctowl. Oh, for sure. Yeah, that Noctowl was gorgeous. But yeah, this one. But again, if you found these demoing a house, like it seems like it's par for the course, to be honest. So Witch is saying 7-6. We have 1 vote for 8 in the poll. We have 7-6 in the chat. I found 2 binders full of cards. That is insane. That's cool, though. Alright, so after looking at the poll, it looks like the average is 7 or 6, according to chat. So let us look at what we think this Shining Mewtwo would get. So, centering's a bit thick, but not by much. There is some dirt spots that can be cleaned with a Q-tip and some distilled water. The biggest draw, Giant, thanks so much for liking the live. Some scratches on the face, as you can see here with the magnifying tool. We have some scratches by the hand, scratches by the tip of the tail, as well as some scratches by the nape of the neck. So if we flip it over, we now have to look at the edges, which we see some whitening up here. Also see some whitening in this left-hand corner, this left edge, this bottom left corner, the bottom. Sounds good, Ooze. I appreciate you sticking around for as long as you did. Have a good night, man. And some scratching on the Pokeball. So the big question is, would this get a PSA 6 or a PSA 5? Because I'm kind of like in the middle of either of those grades, to be honest. I think if there was more whitening on the edges, it'd make it easier for me to say 5, but I don't think so. I think this would probably get a 6. Unless there's more scratches, obviously, like if there's more to it than what we can't see, I'd probably say a 6. All right. So thank you, Bill Cosby, for having your demo house cards. That's insane to me that you found those, but that's cool that you did. And so the last submission of the night is from Ganji, and they wanted me to replace what they submitted with some other cards, but they haven't messaged me, so I'm just going to roll with what they submitted. And honestly, like, it's a nice little end cap for sure, because we have some Scream promos, which is really cool. These are personally I have never seen in person, but super cool nonetheless. So let me clear those out. I'd still grade it. Still worth some berries. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'd like, just because you found them, I think the Noctowl would be, again, like, if there's stuff that you can wipe off with a microfiber cloth, I definitely would. But I think the Noctowl is a good, like, because I think, for me, like, my rule of thumb is if I think it'd be get an 8 or higher, I would just submit it. Like, just cuz, kind of. That's just me, though. But, alright, so, I think the main question that Ganji submitted, let me see, let me just make sure that they didn't accidentally put the update in and not message me. I'm just going to double check. They did not. So we're just going to let it ride. We're going to stick with these. All right. So initially, Ganji wanted to know if these would get a, let me read. Trying to see if it's worth grading, have small white, but if it's going to get a 9, not a great idea. So basically they're asking if it's not a 10, it's not worth. So the first thing I can tell right off the bat with this Psyduck is that left edge, or that left side is thicker than the right, but I'm just, again, since these cards are pretty popular, I'm just going to measure real quick. So it's over a 1/4 inch on the right, or on the left, and just about a 1/4 inch on the right side. So I think for this Psyduck, based off of the centering on the front, it would not get the 10. So let me move on to the, why am I blanking on the name of this starter from Sun and Moon? That's really embarrassing. It's not Litten. I don't know why I'm blanking on the name. It's really embarrassing for someone that makes Pokemon content. Okay. So the left is 1/4 inch. The right is just shy of a 1/4 inch. Might be within the range. Top is a 1/4 inch. And the bottom is at a 1/4 inch. So the front, I think the centering is within the range. But I don't know if these little white specks are actually on the card. Rowlet, thank you, J King. That was really bugging me. But yeah, I don't know if these white specks are on the card or not, because if they are, it would not get the 10 because of it. So if they are not on the card, then this has a decent shot. Not a 100% guaranteed, but it has a decent shot. But if those are on there, it wouldn't. Blame. So if you go to my pinned videos on my TikTok, the thumbnail should read grade review and how to. If you give that a watch, it'll tell you how to get to my Discord, what channel to submit in, as well as the criteria. It's a completely free service. It's not a charged service. Unless you want your cards reviewed by next week, I do now offer a subscription incentive to have yours get expedited. But other than that, if you don't want to, which is totally okay, it's not required. It's still a free service. It's just first come, first serve. So that's the only thing. So the Eevee, of course. So the left side is 1/4 inch, and the right side is also 1/4 inch. Top is 1/4 inch, and the bottom is a 1/4 inch. So far, the centering on that Eevee is actually really good. Let's see. So the left is 1/4 inch. The right is about a 1/4 inch. The top, about a 1/4 inch. And the bottom, it's about a 1/4 inch. So honestly, like out of the three, because I'm assuming a lot of these like little white specks can just be wiped off with a microfiber cloth. I honestly think, and it's on, if I had to pick one of the three to have the best shot at a 10, it'd probably be this Eevee. Would be my honest opinion. I think I don't like, if you're looking for 10 candidates, I don't think the Rowlet and the Psyduck were gonna get you the 10, but I do feel that this Eevee would be a really good contender at getting the 10 for sure. So yeah. So that is, so thank you, Ganji, for your submission. Exactly, Phoenix, exactly. So let me just mark off that those were assessed before they get mad at me for not submitting their other cards in time. So that looks to be it for the night. So yeah, that was the cue for tonight's grade review. Normally I would keep going and see if we want to look at other ones, but I have a trading card show that I actually have to prepare for this Saturday. Yes, J King, just shoot me a DM on Discord if you don't mind, please. Because I still have to, again, it's really bad that TikTok doesn't allow you to test these functions before you actually implement them. So I definitely appreciate you kind of being patient with me, but message me on Discord if you don't mind, please. And that way I can kind of test some things, and really, because I really want to make sure that you get those privileges for being a sub, so I appreciate that. But yeah, I have a lot of cards that I have to prepare for the show for Saturday, and it's coming up pretty quick. It's already Wednesday, but I am gonna make some videos on what I'm gonna be bringing to the show. And again, if you guys have not seen the vendor POV video from my last show, I highly recommend it because it was a blast to make. Hey there. And that's my video already going off. And it kind of gives you a fun insider look at how these shows go from a vendor point of view, which I really had an incredible time making the video. So just to kind of show here real quick. So we're not gonna like watch the whole thing, but this one's a really fun video that kind of showcases a lot of like the behind the scenes stuff on like how I vend at shows. So that's basically what I'm going to be preparing this Saturday to do. So I'm going to record that as well. So definitely stay tuned for that. That's going to be a really nice one. So looking forward to that. So let me see if there's anything else before I kind of wrap it up. So yeah, so like J King said, for those of you who have followed, liked, shared, and subscribed, I really appreciate the support. It really does mean a lot. You guys are awesome. And for those of you who have subscribed, if you haven't gotten those notifications, please DM me on Discord so I can make sure that you get your perks. Because again, TikTok's really dumb and it doesn't let you test it beforehand, so I kind of have to have you guys as my guinea pigs, unfortunately. Damien, did mine get graded? Did I message you on Discord today? Because everyone, like people's TikTok's names are different than their Discord names. So if I haven't messaged you, I didn't get to you today, unfortunately. So yeah, as always, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. Really does mean a lot. I can't believe we're already at episode 17. And yeah, you guys are super cool, awesome community, and definitely stay tuned for some new vendor POV videos that I'm going to be recording this Saturday. Definitely go through and subscribe to the YouTube and all that fun stuff to see that. And yeah, I will catch you guys